To me, it means that the Ravens want to put this ball in someone else's court. They've been going back and forth with Lamar Jackson for so long, and they've had sticking points on guaranteed money and structure and all that. By giving him the non-exclusive franchise tag, you're essentially putting the onus on other teams to do the negotiating for you while still having the right to match any offer that he might get. So I understand it if it's a product of frustration from Baltimore's side, which clearly they are frustrated with where things are. So either way, it's fascinating. The idea that a former MVP who's 26, going to be 27 years old would be in theory available for a certain price on the open market. We just very rarely see outcomes like this, but that's where we are.
Robert, I guess I would push back a little bit on that because what it says to me is that they don't value him in such a way that they are not going to let anyone talk to him. When you have a talent such as Lamar Jackson, you know this as well as I do. Somebody is going to make an offer to him. And if you're the Ravens and you choose not to match it, what are you saying then? You're saying that you don't value Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, to the level that he should be valued. And you're also saying to your fans, I believe, that, you know what? It's going to be a bumpy ride for a few years because you have built everything around that one player, everything. And now you've got to go back and redo it. So push back on me if you feel I'm wrong, Robert, because I would say the Ravens have mismanaged this from the start. And that's going back a couple of years in terms of allowing it to get to this point. Agree or disagree?
Oh, I don't think that I absolutely think it says that they don't value him to the degree that you typically value a franchise quarterback, a top 5 quarterback, because you would never let it get to this place. If you had a guy that you thought was in this realm, in this tier of guys, you would never let anybody else have a conversation with him. So I absolutely think it's a sign that they do not value Lamar Jackson at the level that he thinks he's valued. If he thinks that he deserves the Deshaun Watson contract and he deserves a fully guaranteed deal, I think this is absolutely a commentary on the Ravens saying we do not value you at that level. So if you can go out and get that from somebody else, we'll take the 2 first-round picks and we'll start over again. I think for the exact reasons that you're saying, that's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, they don't have an alternative. They have a team that they've built into a contender with some aging players on the roster. They are made to win right now with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. So the pivot from that, it's going to be a tough road and it's going to be a painful process no matter how you look at it. But Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Everything they've done through the media, every bit of frustration that Jim Harbaugh has shown, Eric DaCosta kind of being a little bit prickly in some of the things he said at the podium, it seems like this team is shaken in a way that we rarely see them shaken. Think about how often they were operating from a position of strength during the Ozzie Newsome era where their heartbeat was the same all the time. They were patient.
Absolutely.
They never negotiated from a position of weakness. They always seemed comfortable with their footing in every situation. This is the first time in a long time where I kind of see them shaking a little bit and unsure of how they want to proceed and unsure of how they can proceed on their timeline, which they so often dictate.
Can I say I agree with you 100% on that? And this is the point I was making to Michael earlier. They have never dealt with a player like Lamar before, and many teams in the NFL haven't from this standpoint. He stands on what he believes regardless of what anyone else thinks. That's who he is. As I say, he is the most authentic player in the NFL that I know. It's not unlike the NFL when it gets into legal trouble, right? And someone sues them or whatever. And they always wait until they get to the point of discovery where they say, okay, let's settle. We don't want this being known, because they know everyone has a price, right? And I think the Ravens thought that Lamar Jackson could get pushed to that point and then say, you know what? I've gone about as far as I can go. Here's my price. And he takes it. He takes a lesser thing. Whereas Lamar is saying, not happening. I know what my value is. This is what I believe my value is. And if you don't like it, I'm okay with it. And I think that that's probably what frustrates him, is that this ain't a guy you can budge on whatever leverage point you think you can use with him, whether it's talking about how it affects the team, what impact it has on teammates or the organization going forward in terms of its ability to win. Lamar is playing straight business here. And he's saying, I know what my value is, period. Pay me or else.
And I know the value of both of you, very educated commentators. So we're going to get some educated guessing going on where Lamar is going next, or who not, I shouldn't say where he's going next. Which teams might be putting their pennies together saying, all right, we got to create some space for our Lamar Jackson offer, and we've got about 8 days to do it. Let's throw out 3 or 4 names out there. What do you guys think? What do you think, Robert?
I think I don't know, because the team that always made the most sense to me, especially on a football level, was Atlanta. I mean, you look at the way that their offense is structured. You look at the way their scheme is. They're cousins to what the Ravens do. And they had the financial flexibility to do it. They had a high draft pick and they have a quarterback need. So putting those pieces together 2 weeks ago, it's like, man, that would be such an interesting landing spot. I think that Arthur Smith could do so much with him. Coming out of the combine, I no longer thought that Atlanta was a team that wanted him, or that was a place he was going to go. And Diana Rossini from ESPN just reported that the Falcons are not going to pursue him. So now I wonder who those teams are. If the Jets miss out on Aaron Rodgers, are they a destination for him? Because if you choose Lamar Jackson, you choose a very specific timeline and a very specific way of constructing your team, both in terms of the resources that you have to allocate, that's the way you want to play. So I just don't know which teams are dissatisfied enough with their quarterback situation and have the amount of resources that would want to go down that path. Jim, I'm fascinated by who you think are players for this.
I said this to Michael earlier to echo your point. One of the first teams I said was Atlanta. I think he's a perfect fit. And let me say this before I continue. I don't believe what any team says to me right now when it says it's not interested or it's not going to go down that road. They all lie at this point, and they don't want to create a market where the price is being driven up. So I'll wait to see how it ends up. But I said Atlanta first, and the second team that I said was Miami. Miami's drafting near the bottom of the first round. Who cares if it gives up a first-round pick there? As I said earlier, even if you were drafting in the top 10 and looking for a quarterback, it's a crapshoot. Here you have an established player that you know about. And the other thing I would say why Miami, too, I would keep an eye on, is that if they do go down this road with Lamar, there's nothing to stop them from saying, then, you know what? We'll move on from Tua. We can trade him. What do we get back in return for him from a team that needs a quarterback? So those are the 2 teams in my mind that stand out, would be Atlanta and Miami.
And see,
I love
you know
Miami.
what, Robert, and yeah, me too. I think Robert and Jim, I'll say this quickly. Look, Lamar can handle, I want to keep saying this, Lamar can handle the intellectual side of contract negotiations. I got it. And that's not what I'm saying. But this is where an agent comes in, another area where an agent helps you. So it's already out there. Ian Rappaport report, the trade market, not as strong as he thinks, and you got to play a certain way if you're going to have Lamar. And if I'm Lamar, I'm going to come back. My narrative is I played that way in Baltimore, but I got a lot more than you haven't seen. He
played in a pro-style offense in college.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can adapt. And the other thing I want to say is I think there'll be a surprise team or two. Like, would you be shocked if Houston came in? Well, if Houston.
I'd be surprised just because of how methodically they've built it so far. And I guess that's kind of how I feel about Atlanta.
Is that like
they've done
you call that methodical? Houston.
I mean, they've been very patient. There's not a lot of urgency going on down there, for better or for worse. And so it's hard to know which teams are willing to commit those sort of resources. With Houston especially, they can get on a rookie quarterback timeline. They can just build this in a way that we've seen be successful for other teams. And that's why some of these other teams that, like Atlanta is another example, this is your shot. Are you willing to take your shot at quarterback with the resources that you have? And I think that there's risk involved in that. It's a worthwhile risk, no doubt. But I think it becomes a question of which team is willing to take their swing at the position now that might not have been before he was available. And I don't know the answer to that.
Robert Mays, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for taking the time with us. And hey, this story is just getting started. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of speculation, a lot of back and forth, a lot of whispering on both sides. Well, they did this, they did that. We're all here for it. I can't wait. Really can't. Good to see you, Robert.
Appreciate you, Robert.
Talk to you guys soon.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.